Hi, this is a quick preview of the tools and benefits of GoGuardian for the classroom. GoGuardian is a great software allowing you and teachers, administrators to monitor as well as control some of the access students have while using their school-given Chromebooks, tablets, whatever it may be, and also helping them out, especially in this last year with virtual learning. It's been super great to have around. When you first open your account for GoGuardian, it's going to look something like this. It would have open the multiple classrooms you have. If it's a high school teacher, they might have their different hours or different blocks here. But since I'm a fourth grade teacher and I teach in the same classroom with the same students all day, I just have one class. I did have one open for my practice, but just to take a look at some of the different settings. If I were to click on this class, it'll show me a few different things. First of all, the sessions, when I could schedule my classes to be open. I personally have it running all day. It does only allow you to have a session about 7 or 6 hours, I believe. And so I had to make a few different sessions, but this allows me to see what my students are using their school Chromebooks with pretty much all day. So even when they're on the weekend, I can see what they're up to. Especially if they're contacting me about homework, it allows me to see that. And I'll give you a deeper look into that later. Of course, it would have my list of students as well as recordings if I'm recording my virtual or video calls with my students, as well as teachers. If you have co-teachers in your classroom, multiple people can be on the account as well as administrators if they want to have access. The biggest part about GoGuardian and the biggest benefit I would say is setting those scenes. What a scene allows you to do is to either allow websites or block websites. So you can choose which setting you'd like to have your classroom on. One setting, allowed websites, would mean all websites are blocked except for those which you allow your students to access. Blocked websites would be the reverse. So you would allow students to access anything except for specific websites which you have blocked. I use the allowed website list, and I'll let you take a look at my virtual learning day, which is the scene that's set throughout my entire day as well as into the night. So this is the scene that's set for my students 24/7 on their Chromebooks. Here I've got my list of websites that I usually am using. So things like iReady for those title students, the sign-in so they can use those G Suite, iExcel, ReadWorks, as well as eSparks, PowerSchool, which is their grading website, and then a few other ones that are connected to some of the reading programs we use as well. Same thing with Kahoot. I can add on my Ducksters, that website I like to use for the encyclopedia, a dictionary for my students, Extra Math, which going through math facts or flashcards, as well as my specific Google Documents or Google Slides I'm sharing with my students so they don't get too distracted making their own documents and they can focus on the work that I'm giving them. The next thing down you would see on the side would be the calendar. The calendar, again, is just another snapshot of that look at all those sessions. And then the biggest benefit would be those student reports. When you click onto those student reports, you can take a look at what the individual student has been doing, selecting it by classroom, then student name, and that date range. So you could look over a month of student work, or if you just want to look back on a certain day. Now, I've selected a student and accessed a report. It's a little truncated since I want to keep her information private, but you can see there's 3 different places here. Now, I don't have Google search open to my students right now, so that circle is going to be empty. Every once in a while, there's some documents they're accessed, and it would look similar to what those top 5 websites look like. So as you can see, most of my students' time is spent on that Google Meet during our virtual classrooms, but also she spent some time using the encyclopedia and that classroom or Google Classroom because she's got to go back and forth to access different assignments, as well as our Google Meet. This last one here would actually be the screen that pops up when students are blocked. So it looks like she might have tried to access some kind of website the other day just for a minute, but the screen that would appear there would simply say, your teacher doesn't want you on the site right now, please go back to where you're supposed to be.
Another one of the biggest perks from GoGuardian would actually be being able to see your students' screens. Now, I have an example here with my students' names blocked out just to keep their privacy, but it's going to look something like this. Now, all my students were offline at the time of this picture, but what would happen if my students were, as I get to see directly what is on their screen. This has been an awesome plus for this software, as especially with virtual learning, I can't be looking over their shoulder as I would in the classroom, so I can see literally what they're doing. I can walk them through if they've got me on the phone or on their Google Meet on different tab. We can look at whatever they're working on together, and I can give them that instant feedback and that instant help walking them through, seeing exactly what they're seeing, and that's been a huge plus. Here's an example, not from one of my students, but from one of the GoGuardian examples, what that would look like. You can see each student has the different screen, and it also allows you to open it up as well as privately message each student, and that's something that's also very beneficial as students are working on different things, and you can give them that private message, especially if you're in a group class. You do not have to be talking to them out loud to give them that little help or that little extra assurance or that little push to be more focused in class.
GoGuardian has been awesome through this last year of a lot of virtual learning, and it's also been awesome to have back in the classroom, as it allows me to monitor all my students' work, whether or not they're right next to me or they're far away outside the classroom. I definitely recommend it.